Justice requires you to be empathetic, to empathize with the very communities that you're serving, or that the very communities who are seeing injustice.
Rangina is a total rock star. I have known her for almost 2 decades, and she is amazing and incredible. And I think about all of the different things she's done over the years, all the different ways that she has worked to enact change. She's probably the most courageous person I know. She does things that just normal humans don't do, and is fearless, absolutely fearless, and fearless on the behalf of other people.
Rangina is a catalyst for social change. Rangina holds a vision of Afghanistan with the people having a true national identity and an identity that allows them to determine their own future. She is absolutely certain that that depends on the right of Afghans to have a real education, and that's what she's been so committed to.
When I was about 5 years old, my father and my mother decided to flee Afghanistan. When I was a little girl, growing up as a refugee child in Pakistan, our neighboring country to Afghanistan, my father enrolled me and my little sister into a private school because refugee girls or refugee children could not go to school in the country that was hosting us. And I was in 3rd grade when we got a surprise knock on our door one morning. My father came back with the news that these guys did not think that it was appropriate for my sister and I to continue to go into school. And as a child, I did not understand, nor did I question what that meant. Yet it was my mother who feared the consequences, because many girls who refused the command given to them by these warlords suffered the consequences of having acid thrown at their face. This issue of education and the issue of justice around it is so incredibly near and dear to my heart because I've personally lived that experience.
I met Rangina in 2005 when she participated in a program here at Thunderbird called Project Artemis, and that's an entrepreneurship training program for Afghan women. She was in the very first cohort, and she, and rightly so, realized that she might be able to use business training to be able to make an impact for women in Afghanistan. So she came here, participated, and very shortly after that created what became her venture, Kandahar Treasure. And Kandahar Treasure is a social venture based on embroidery. And she works with women who wouldn't have had an opportunity to earn a living really any other way, and provided them with the tools and the materials so that they could create a variety of like housewares and apparel. And then she would pay them for that work and be able to sell it under the label Kandahar Treasure. She's been doing this incredible work for, almost 20 years now. And even today, Kandahar Treasure still is running. There's 190 people still working for Kandahar Treasure. So she's still able to make that impact. And she's even gone back to Afghanistan a couple times to make sure that the venture continues.
When the war was going on in the spring of 2020, and there was violence all across Afghanistan, Rangina made the courageous decision to become the Minister of Education. And why was that so courageous? Because government officials were being assassinated at that time, and especially high-profile women. So she made that decision knowing that it put her own life at peril, and it also risked her daughter's life, her husband's life, and her whole family's life. But she did that because she really believed she could make a difference. And it was a difference she had been on the path to make since after 9/11, to be a part of rebuilding her native country. Now, when she took over the ministry, it was corrupt. It was not serving the needs of the citizens of Afghanistan. And she started to change that. And she changed that in an extraordinary way by making the children the main stakeholders for the ministry and its mission. And she knew that really to give the kids a good education, they needed to develop critical thinking. So when the Taliban took over, she was in the midst of changing that system to a system where the kids would get real education.
Every moment is a defining moment. But I think for me, the unjust killing of my father by cowards, I think losing my father in that manner and in that way has probably changed me from who I was to who I am. But you know what? 12 years later, even those who consider themselves my father's enemy still remember my father's legacy. My father lives in the hearts and minds of people without a picture, without a billboard, without any commemoration of a service to remind people who he was. That, in my opinion, is true service and leadership. And if I can be 1% of what my father was, then I consider myself the luckiest person alive.